For our rebirth of Mothra 3, this is part 2 of the cosplay. Here, sorry guys. So we are making the dress part. I decided to go with this frozen pattern. So this is Simplicity 1210, and we are going with this dress here. So what we're going to be doing is making the arms white, this all black, and the inside of this all black. So what you are going to do, you are going to take your measurements around your bust, your waist, and then 9 inches below your waist, which is about where your hips are. And then you're going to take your back from your neck to your waist measurement, and then your sizes are going to go with your pattern here, and then that'll tell you how much fabric to get. So you're going to be needing white fabric and black fabric. You are in the size 18 between 16. For the white fabric, I got let's see. For the white fabric, I got 1.5 yards. This is if you fit between the 16 and 18 range. You'll have to do a little figuration of your pattern pieces. And then for the black, we got 5 1/4. So all the stuff that you'll be needing on here. So you'll need to get thread, either black or white. You're going to need a 22-inch zipper. You're going to need 2 hooks and eyes, 2.5 buttons. You're going to need half-wide single-fold bias tape and 1 package of half-wide double-fold bias tape. You're going to need the white fabric, the black fabric. You're going to need interfacing. It'll tell you on your pattern how much interfacing to get. You'll need a lightweight fusible interfacing, and then you're going to need feathers and some hair clips for your costume. So like I said, everything you need is on this envelope. You'll just have to look at it. So let's see, you got your sizes here. So you'll go down and then it'll tell you what you need. Alright, so let's take out the patterns. The patterns you will be needing for this cosplay. If you have any questions, you could feel free to ask me in the comment section down below, and I can help you as best I can. So we're going to open up the instructional page, because this will tell you everything too. So you're going to be needing patterns 1 through 8, I believe, because we're not doing the applique. So let's see what we got. We have piece 3, piece 5, piece 1, piece 7, piece 2, piece 6, and piece 4, and then piece 8. So 1 through 8. What you're going to have to do is with your dress piece, this is for the front and the back, but for the back section you're going to have to get a long piece of paper, and you gotta trace this out onto a large piece of paper. So you'll have something that looks like this. I know it's kind of long. And see, this is for the back sections of your dress because Mothra has the black and white stripes on the back side. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take your ruler. Okay, so this is the lower part of your dress. So you're going to take your tape measure or your ruler, and you're going to start from here. And you're going to measure all the way up to your first one. So that's 21 inches. So your first piece here is 21 inches by 10. So that's your first section. That's the black part. These are 5 inches wide. And then you're going to take your next piece and you're going to come up here, and that's 21 inches again. So it's 21 inches by 5 inches going this way. And then you'll go up all the way. And then you'll cut those out. I'm discombobulated. Hold on. So your bottom piece will look like this. Let's see if I can. So it'll look like this. And that'll be B1. Hold on one sec. So the next part will be white 1 or W1. This is the next piece. So this is 5 inches and it'll look like this. And of course you'll have to add a seam allowance when we are cutting these guys out. And then we'll have B2, which is the next black piece. This is still 5 inches. So you're just going to go up 5 inches from where you made your triangle. And then here's the next piece. These are all 5 inches. And then here is the next piece. And then here's the last white piece. And this is the top of the dress. You only need to add a seam allowance to this piece right here. Alright, so the next step is to lay out our stuff. So for the pieces for the white, you'll be needing your sleeve number 4 and your cuff number 5. You'll be cutting 2 of these, so this will be 1 cut here, you'll have 2. And then with the cuff, you'll have to cut 4, so you'll cut 2 there, and then you'll slide it down, and then you'll cut 2 more. And with these guys, you are going to place them on the folds, but you're going to have to tape 2 pencils together, and you're going to have to mark on this side here, and this side here, with your 2 pencils, and you're going to do the same thing for the other piece and your other third piece. Alright. Okay, so you're going to place pattern piece 7 here. You're going to place pattern piece 1 over there. Pattern piece number 3, you're going to cut that, and then you're going to cut it again. It's like our cuff, so you'll need 4 of these. And then you'll cut this out here. And then you'll place this number 2, and then that's number 6 right over here. So we have our full skirt piece. This will be the front, and you're going to need to fold the corner over up top like it says. And then you are going to cut out 1 more of these in the black, and then we'll cut our stripes out, and I'll get to those in a sec. Cut your 2 skirt black pieces. You're going to take our B1, B2, B3, B4 pieces, and we're going to place them on our fold like this. And then you're going to take your a white pencil and attach it to your other pencil, and then you're going to do the same thing before to make our seam allowances. The only thing that don't need a seam allowance is the bottom piece and then the top piece, but the bottom piece right here does, and this piece here. So you're going to cut these out. Pattern piece 3, 5, 6, and 7. These will all be done in interfacing. Pattern 6 gets placed on the fold, and the rest are just doubled over. So read what it says on your tissue paper, and then you'll know what you need to do for where you need to place it. Okay. The next step is you're going to take either your whole pattern, so you can do this to all of them, or you could do the ones that you're currently working on. So you're going to mark all the things. So if you didn't cut triangles out, you'll mark those on yours. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to stick a pin in, stick your pin in your dot. So we're going with size 16. So you'll stick it in here. And then you'll take your marking tool and you will mark where that pin came through. And then for the other side, you're going to lift your pattern up and mark where your pin came through. And you're going to do that to all your dots. Mark all your triangles. You're going to have to mark this placement for bodice on our yoke back. For the next one, this is the yoke front. So for here, you're marking triangles, your placement line, and the dot that's up here. So like I said, you're just going to stick your pin in, mark one side, flip the pattern over like this, and mark there. And anywhere else where you see where you need. For the, which one is this? For pattern piece 6, you're going to have to mark your dots the same way by putting your pin in, your triangles. You're going to mark the placement of your number for where we're going to slide this on. And then you're going to do your dart. So basically you're going to stick it in your pin into the dot, fold it over, and mark like we did with the other ones. And then there's dots here along the bottom. And then for the bodice back, you are going to mark the dart, the triangles, and just basically look at your pattern and see what you need to mark. So you can either mark everything that you need for your pattern piece, or you can just do the ones you're currently working on, which I'm going to do. So let's go to the next. You have to take pattern 6 and 7. So this one is 6 and the other one is 7. And you're going to take your interfacing and you're going to place the rough bumpy side down. And you're going to take this to your iron and you're going to press and you're going to glue this interfacing on. Yeah. Alright, let's go do that. After you get that done, I actually made a mistake. So the second piece is, so you have a piece that's facing like this with your pattern. Before, you're going to have to stick your other piece down. So what I ended up having to do was put this here, and then I had to recut it out. So then I could do it, and then replace my dart. So what you're going to do is retrace your pieces out if you can't see them through the interfacing. Alright, so the next step is to match your dart. So what you're going to do for this is you're going to pinch up your dart here and match your dots together, and then you're going to take your pins and try to match the chalk lines and the dots together, and you're just going to pin across, matching. What you're going to do now is you're going to sew along the line that you made with your darts. You're not going to reverse stitch at the end of your dart. You're just going to make a really long thread and you're going to tie a double knot in here, like so, and you are going to iron these over this way. Alright, let's go to the next. So you're going to iron this dart towards the center back, and the same thing for the other one. And then for our other piece, you're just going to pick up the gathers like you did, not the gathers, the darts, like you did for your other piece, and you're going to sew them, and then you're going to iron them towards the center. What we're going to do is we're going to do some stay stitching in the neck section. So it's this little section right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to make your machine go to the longest stitch, and you're going to do a 1/4 edge here. Let's see if I can get you over here by my machine. Oh, sorry. Okay. And then you're just gonna stitch your neck. And you're gonna do this to your other back section piece. So you'll have something that looks like this. I don't know if you can see with the black. I'm going to put stay stitching in this neck part here. This is pattern piece 1. So it's the same thing as your neck. So for your pattern piece 2, you have that line that's on there. So you're going to draw that out, and then you're going to take your other part, this piece here, which is part of the back 7, and then you're just going to take this edge right here, and you're going to line it up with your line that you made on your other piece, and then you're going to pin that, and you're going to do the same thing to the front. So you're going to take your front and line this edge up with this line here. So you're going to pin the heart shape on like this, matching the curves and ends, and then you're just going to sew. Stitch the bodice, the top part to the rest of the bodice. So that's going to be your longest stitches. You're going to do this to your back section as well. So this is the same placement of the line. And you're going to base stitch these on, which is going to be your loosest thread again. Right sides together, you're going to sew your shoulder seam. So this is your shoulder seam here. So you're going to put this shoulder seam here for your other piece. And you're going to match them with right sides together. Oops. Sides together, and then you're going to pin, and then you're going to sew across. Next step is to mark all your dots and triangles on your piece, and then you're going to take your interfacing like before, and we're going to put it on one and one of the others and mark, and then you'll have these two, your two pieces that don't have interfacing. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of your interfacing sections and one of your non-interfacing. You're going to put right sides together, and you're going to sew this at a 3/8, and then you're going to clip little triangles out on your curve. Be careful not to get too close to this thread because you can snap it. And then you're going to pull right sides out, so you're only sewing along the top here. You're going to reverse, pull right sides out, and then iron this down. We're going to baste our raw edges, so you're going to sew along here and along here, and those are our long stitches, and you're going to do the same thing to your other piece. I'm not quite sure. The directions say to on facing sides sew collar sections together at center front, so I'm assuming that's saying put the two dots together and sew down. So the interfacing for mine is on the bottom side here, and you're just gonna sew down your collar from the dot down, and then okay, that's it. So the next step is to clip your curves just like we did with our collar. So you're just going to take a little triangle out on your curves. Do not cut your stay stitching. This is in the neck area. So I don't know if you can tell really, but you'll just do that along your neck area. So the next step is to match your triangles that you made. Your small dots go on your shoulder seams, and then the center goes in the center. And we are going to, let's see. You're going to baste this edge with your long stitch along here. The place where you have your interfacing should be on the top. So if you can see your interfacing from the sewing, so the fabric that has interfacing needs to be on the top, and then the right sides with the regular side without the interfacing needs to be on the bottom. So this side has the interfacing glued on it, and then this one doesn't. So the interfacing has to be towards the facing you, and the non-interfacing side down on the right side. Okay? And you're still sewing this at the top at 3/8 sewing seam allowance. You're going to take your 1/2 inch bias tape that's single fold, and you're going to open one edge of your bias tape, and you're going to match the edge up with the edge of the raw edge of the collar and the shirt up top, and you're going to pin all the way down. And then we are going to stitch edge having crease. So you're going to have the crease match the 3/8 seam that we just created. So that's going to be right where that thread is. And then we are going to stitch it at 3/8 trim. And then you're going to trim the seam and clip the curves again. Okay. You're going to clip curves again by taking little triangles. Be careful not to cut into the thread we just sewed in. And let me take you to the next step. The next step is to iron your collar in up like this. And then you are going to take your bias and you're going to fold it down like this, and you're going to slip stitch. I'm just going to sew mine with machine, but if you want to make it more neat and professional, you would do the slip stitch, which is just basically you take your thread and you come in up and yeah, so you're just going to slip stitch this or sew it on your machine. The directions say to slip stitch it, but I'm going to make it easier and then just iron it down. Sew it down with the. You're going to put the side seams together with right sides together, so that's you're underneath your arm and for your side seams. So put right sides together and then just sew those. Then you're going to clip out a triangle from the curve. For your pattern, it's like right here. So you're going to do that to both sides. Is to take either some trim or if you have leftover your single fold bias tape, the place where we put our front piece onto the top part here, where the exposed seam is, you're going to pin the interfacing, the trim or your bias tape, and then you're just going to sew on one side, and then you're going to sew on the other side of this. Now we're going to take out our stripes, and we're going to take so we're going to take B1 and W1, and you're going to put right sides together, and you're going to pin, and you're going to sew along the line you made, or if you can't find it, on mine it is the first number on your machine of the where you could put your line it up with the line on here. Alright, so you're just going to sew right sides together. And then you'll have something that looks like this after you sew all your pieces together. And then you're going to iron your these guys down to down facing towards the bottom. Alright, I'll take you to the next step. So now what you're going to do with your back section, you're going to cut them down the center, and then you're going to take another one of the plain solid back piece, you're going to cut that in half, and then you're going to put right sides together and sew it on one of our triangle sections and on the other. Because this has got to be our center piece, that's why we had cut it in half. So you're going to take this big piece, cut it in half, take one of your back piece solid blacks, cut them in half, and sew them on the edge. And then I'll take you to take your front section, and where the large dot is, you're going to take a stitching from here to here, up to here, and then you're going to cut it. And then I'll take you to the next step. We're going to sew up our center back, and you are going to stop at the dot or the triangle piece that's in your back, and you're going to double reverse stitch to reinforce this. And now we are going to go to the next step. Okay, so now you're going to take the right sides of the front panel and you're going to attach it to the black section of your back side panel. So that's the remainder pieces that are on the side, and you're going to do the same thing over here. Is to put your bodice right sides in, so you're just going to stuff this in here, and then you're going to sew along the edge, and you're going to match your center with your center point, and then you're just going to sew. So the directions say to press the left side. You're going to place your zipper on your folded hem here, which you just pressed, and you're going to pin it all the way down, and then you're going to... So the directions for the zipper say to do it at 5/8 and 1/2 inch for the zipper, for hemming over to sew onto the zipper. Actually, don't do the 5/8, just do both sides the 1/2 inch. So you're gonna fold over your fabric 1/2 inch, iron it, and then pin your zipper on. Because I did that, I based the stitches, and I tried it on my person that I was giving this costume for, and it didn't fit right. So you're gonna iron it at 1/2 inch on each side, or actually maybe 1/2 inch, and then you're going to pin your zipper onto your folded edge, and you're going to baste stitches and then try it on yourself and then see if it fits, and then do a regular stitch. Both of these sides are the one I mean is to fold over the edge where the zipper is going to go, and then it'll be that 1/2 inch. So, and then you're going to base stitch your zipper on. So you're just going to start at one end of your zipper, and you're just going to start sewing down the edge. Try to stay close to your zipper fabric edge here. Okay, today we are making the little cuff for our sleeve. You are going to apply your interfacing to one side of your cuff, and it's going to be like the other ones, the bubbly side down, and you're just going to press. Then you're going to put your markings in, so there's going to be a small dot here and a small dot here, and then you're going to sew from the small dot all the way over here to the other small dot at a 1/4 seam. Now you're going to cut your corners. And then you're going to trim the seam a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. To iron this to where the stitching is, and then you're going to pull right sides out, and then you're going to iron this flat like this. Alright, so the next step is, hold on, I gotta find my sleeve. You're going to mark all your sleeve markings. So you're going to have a dart here, and some dots and things up here. I'm going to be doing a little things different from the instructions here. Like this one here has the slit. I'm not going to do the slit. I'm going to do it completely to the edge. So if you want to do it the way it's in the paper, the instructions are all there, but I'm going to do mine a little differently. So first thing we're going to be doing is you're going to put 2 rows of gathering in from your point to your point, your triangle piece. And then you are going to make a small dart like it is on the pattern, like we did for our bodice part of our dress. Alright, so the next step is you're going to take your right sides of your cuff and you're going to put the right sides of your sleeve together. Next step is you're going to iron up your seam that you just made, and you're going to stuff it inside of that edge that we folded up and trimmed and things. And then you are just going to slip stitch this to the bottom. I'm just going to sew mine to save me some time. Right sides together, and you're going to sew from here all the way down to where your cuff is, and then you're going to reinforce the seam and you're going to pull right sides out. Well, actually you're going to take this to your iron and you're going to iron these flat, this open, this seam right here. What you're going to do is you're going to take your center dot that you marked on your pattern and place that at your shoulder seam, and then your underarm seam goes with the underarm seam here, and then you smooth this out, and then you'll have this axis, and then you'll pull up your things to make them fit in within this section here so that they're the size of the sleeve. And now we're going to sew this. You're going to stitch your sleeve like this, and you're going to line it up with the 4 on your machine. You're going to do the long stitches, and then you're going to do the tight stitches, and you're going to go all the way around, and then your sleeve should look something like this on the other side. If you still see some of your pulling thread, you can trim that out with a seam ripper, and I'll take you to the next. You're going to do some stitching on your hem. You're going to sew a 5/8 line. Mine is a 5, and you are going to then iron this. Oops, hold on one sec. You're going to iron this where your stitching is, and then you're going to iron this piece down in. So you're going to iron up, fold it over to where your stitching is, and then you're going to press under your thing, and then we're going to iron that, and then I'll show you what's next. You're going to fold your hem over, and you're just going to sew so that you're just enclosing your raw edges. It'll be about an inch of a hem. After you're done sewing your hem at the bottom, your dress is done, unless you decide that you want to put hooks and eyes in the back. You're just going to place those there and just hand sew them. Alright, and I'll take you to the next project. Will be either the headpiece for this costume or some other things.